Nice one. But usually they turn out to be some kind of big lifter.
The Skraby Show starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
Hello and welcome into the Skraby Show for March 25th, 2025. Thank you for joining me here. You can watch on YouTube. I got to get better at doing this because someone said, I didn't even know you guys were on YouTube. And that is my fault because I'm not letting people know enough. You can go to youtube.com and you can search The Skraby Show, S-K-R-A-B as in boy, Y. Or you can go to youtube.com/@The Skraby Show. Also, get everything you need from the station by searching 97.3 The Fan in YouTube. There's all three shows broadcast to 97.3 The Fan's YouTube. We also put up standalone videos, and I know Sammy puts up some of his videos that he takes from his travels with the Padres and pre- and post-game show and all that. So definitely check out our YouTube channel. It's growing steadily, and we are getting more and more involved with YouTube. So I promise you, if you follow 97.3 The Fan or The Skraby Show, you will not be missing out because during the season, I'm kind of sad. I guess tomorrow night is the last Skraby Show before the season begins. And with that means that we are out of Skraby Show season. And that's very sad for me because there's going to be less of me. But I'm going to try to do more throughout the year, and that's going to occur on the Skraby Show YouTube. So if you want to if you want to follow and you want to be aware of when things happen with the Skraby Show YouTube, make sure you go at the Skraby Show on YouTube. Just follow me, and you will get all the notifications. I'm going to try to go live maybe during some games. I'm going to try to do some different live things. I'm going to do some video games. Who was I telling? Oh, I was telling the Skrabinators on the Discord that I have MLB The Show 25 now, and I bought the correct cords and everything to get it on the computer because, I didn't ever really think about it. Like, I thought Twitch or something worked with PS5 to broadcast to like a computer. Well, broadcast straight to Twitch, but if I want to put like different things on it, I have to broadcast it to the computer, which was very for a guy who understands technology, it was kind of tough to figure out, but I got everything and we are ready to go with the video game playing and all of that. So we have a lot going on tonight in the show. We are going to talk about, I have to do the talk of shame here in a second. We're going to talk about something that I caught on Foul Territory TV earlier today. And it's Andrew Miller is talking about why players don't want a salary cap. And I kind of think that the players are talking out of both sides of their mouth. They want all the money, but they don't want to have a salary cap. So we'll talk about that a little bit. And then the Padres are also the Padres are like the conundrum for power rankings out there. There's so many different power rankings that people put out by team, and the Padres are all over the place. And this Bleacher Report power ranking has them the highest, and I'll tell you where they're at when we get there. But I do have to start with the talk of shame. And if you missed it earlier, if you are a listener to Gwen and Chris, if you're a listener to the Skraby Show, you heard yesterday that I said that there will be no vendors walking around at Petco Park. There will be no one going, get your peanuts here, get your beer here. All that stuff. No one's going to do that. I really enjoy doing that. Can anybody else tell that I really enjoy doing the call-in? Like, what is it? Icy? Do they have ices? Icy here. Cotton candy here. All right, I'm done. But my talk of shame is this. I said that there were going to be no vendors walking around. I got that information online. I did not vet the information, which is totally my fault. And I am here to tell you that there are going to be vendors at Petco Park walking around, and I believe they're even going to have more vendors this year walking around with stuff. So that was my bad. So if you heard me say that last night, either on the Gwen and Chris show or the Skraby Show, I apologize. I went with wrong information. Should have checked it out. This is completely me. I'm not even going to make an excuse for it, which is when I am taking responsibility, when I don't even make excuses for it. Because I have a million excuses during Gwen and Chris. I have lots of excuses for why things happen. But for me to run with that and not check it out, that is bad of me. So I wanted to make sure I started the show talking about that, and I started the show coming clean about that. It was fake news, and I should not have fallen for the fake news. And now we can move on and go forward. Joseph says, actually, we're not going to go forward. Joseph says, here on the Skraby Show, we believe in taking responsibility for your actions. That is 100% true. Reyes says, why is it that we're going to be seeing less of you? I guess I didn't explain that. Because the Skraby Show is 6 to 7 p.m. weekdays, and the Padres are going to block out a lot of the Skraby shows. Anytime there is a 6 p.m. weekday without a Padres game, that means the Skraby Show is going to be on. So make sure that you are aware of that. You are aware of the schedule going forward with the Skraby Show. I'm trying to read too many things at once. I want to also talk about this because I told everyone about a month and a half ago, maybe even longer than that I got into it with a woman on a dog walk because my dogs, I was letting him off a leash, and I was in an area where I didn't think anybody else was going to be. So I let them off the leash. Someone came around the corner. They had a dog too. My dogs went running towards their dog, and my dogs are nice. I understand though. It's scary. I get it. You don't know what another dog is going to do. I completely understand that. But with this lady, I immediately apologized. I said, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for my dogs to do this. I didn't mean for them to get away. I'm sorry. And she was mean to me about it. She was like, oh, well, it doesn't mean you should have him off the leash. And I said, yeah, that's why I said I'm sorry. I made a mistake. I didn't do the right thing. And so I was trying to come clean on it. And she was just not having it, being a mean lady. And that's when I started, not saying mean things, but I was just like kind of dismissive at that point, and I just walked away. Well, I have something now that maybe can replace that feeling in my head. And it goes like this, because today there was a dog walking incident. My dogs are on the leash this time. I've learned my lesson. My dogs were doing okay. They were doing what they were supposed to be doing, which was sniffing the dirt or something. And there was a woman with her dog. His name was Hanson, the dog. I've never heard of a Hanson dog. But that dog comes running up. And it was in the same area that I got my dogs off the leash. And so the dog comes up and the woman's yelling at this dog like, hey, come back. No, don't go that way. And she's kind of running after the dog. I'm just standing there about 50 feet away, just seeing if she catches up to her dog. So the dog comes over to my dogs. And at first I was kind of angry about it. I was like kind of frustrated with it because you're supposed to have your dogs on the leash. And I realized that's an irrational reaction to everything. So she starts coming up and she is so apologetic about it. I could see it in her face that she's really, really embarrassed. She's struggling to get her dog under control. Her dog was nice. He wasn't attacking my dogs or anything like that. In fact, my dog started playing with that dog. So it was a good interaction, but I could tell that she was very, very upset about this, and she did not want it to happen. She kind of had the look that I had when I went crazy on that woman months ago. Well, you know what I did? I thought, you know what, Matt? You need to be a good person here. And she apologized to you. And one of the huge issues that you had with the lady from a couple months ago was that when you apologized to her, she didn't accept your apology and she kept throwing it back in your face. So you know what I did? She was like, I'm so sorry. I said, you know what? It's okay. My dogs have done it too. And she was like, really? I didn't mean to do this, blah, blah, blah. I said, really? It's okay. My dogs have been there too. This happens with dogs. She goes, wow, you know what? You were a really, really nice person, because I've encountered many people on these walks, and they are not as nice as you. And so we walked away. We had a good interaction, and I felt really good about myself. So I'm going to try to keep that going. Instead of having these terrible interactions where I lose my cool, I'm going to try to keep going with the positivity. I'm going to try to keep going with the understanding. I think we need a little bit of that right now. And so I feel like I have reversed the entire vibe of the universe because I did this today. Jack says, should have invited her to the crib. That's good. No. Jocelyn says, did you ask her out? I mean, why? Because there's a woman with a dog. Why did I need to ask her out? Come on. I mean, what in the world? I don't understand that. We can't just be dog walkers passing each other like ships in the night. Come on. Dan says, or I'm sorry, not Dan. Clay says, it costs you nothing to be nice and understanding. And then I just get a text. Did you get that girl's number, though? I'm telling you, I said woman for a reason because I think she was in her 60s or 70s. And I'm not saying that, I'm not ageist or anything like that, but I'm pretty sure she had a ring on. And anyway, just because we had an interaction doesn't mean I asked for a number or anything like that. But I did feel very good about everything going forward. And the dogs had a great walk. I had a great walk. And when I have a great walk, it's going to be a good day. I don't really know if anybody cares what I'm talking about right now, but these are the thoughts that I have all the time. Driving home or driving to work. Should I bring up the dog walking story? Okay, I'll bring up the dog walking story. Do you have to do the talk of shame about saying that vendors weren't going to be at Petco, even though they were at Petco? Yes, you should have to do the talk of shame as well. So that's what you're going to get on the Skraby Show. Katrina says, and Jocelyn, Katrina says, cougars need sugar, Skraby. Yes. Jocelyn says, old ladies need love too, Skraby. I understand that. I wasn't saying anything, but I can walk my dogs and not have to meet my wife on the walk every single day, people. Jeez. All right. I think I've done enough talking about nothing here. And when we get back, I've wasted the entire first 12 minutes, but that's usually what happens here on the Skraby Show from time to time. I say that usually what happens on the Skraby Show from time to time. It happens on the Skraby Show from time to time. Anyway, when we get back, we will talk about sports. We will talk about baseball. I want to bring up the White Sox release someone kind of interesting. Also, that foul territory discussion about players kind of talking out both sides of their mouth. We'll talk about all of that when we get back on the Skraby Show on 97.3 The Fan.
Hey, it's Ben Higgins.
I swear that we have some of the nicest listeners and people who interact on the YouTube all the time. And I got a couple text messages saying that I was very nice for, letting a lady off the hook with the dog leash and all that. And they said it wasn't embarrassing. So thank you very much for that. I appreciate everyone. I really, really do. We need to talk a little bit about what Andrew Miller said on Foul Territory TV. And one of the things about the Skraby Show is I'm here by myself, and it's sometimes hard to get things up on the screen. So we will get that up, and then we will hear from Andrew Miller. But basically, here is what the deal is. There's going to be another CBA negotiation in 2026. And it's not looking good for that because owners want to go in a direction where they're either salary cap or some sort of spending limit. And they want to do that because they want to keep salaries low. Now, players don't want to do that because they want to make as much money as they can. And they think that, hey, you guys are making all the money at the top there. You should pass that money down. And I do agree with that. Now, I don't know where it stops because the organization still has to run, and the organization still has to, pay the marketing people, pay all the people that make the organization run. Players are important, yes, obviously, and they should get big cut of the pie. But I do think at a certain point it gets a little greedy when you're asking for like half of the franchise or whatever. Not saying that anyone really did that. But Andrew Miller is a rep for the MLB Players Association, and here's what he said about the upcoming CBA, and he was talking also about why players don't really want a salary cap. So here he is with Foul Territory TV.
Yeah, I mean, a salary cap, honestly, just straightforward. It's a chance for the owners to limit their labor cost. And the fact that they're going to come out and sell that as competitive balance, they're going to sell that as, your tickets and your hot dog are going to be cheaper, or, this is going to bring labor peace, or this is better for the players in the long term. I think, we can very easily kind of disprove those notions. And, we had a phenomenal World Series between two high payrolls and two large cities last year. And yeah, it was a little bit of a shorter series, but the league was raving about that. The numbers of people that tuned in was phenomenal. But what about the year before? We had the Rangers and the Diamondbacks. So it can be done. And, the fact that, the Dodgers are the big boogeyman right now that went out and they spent all this money and they're such a fun team to play for, and they're doing all this stuff, and they can go out and get Ohtani and they can get this guy and that guy. Well, first of all, every team has the ability to sign those guys, but ultimately the Dodgers have won 2 World Series in 40 years. The Mets have, Soto and all these guys. They've won, I don't think, any since '86. The fact that, we have some sort of dynasty out there because of, no salary cap is just completely false. And in other leagues, you see things like the Patriots and the Chiefs. You see what the run that the Warriors went on. It hasn't solved that problem in those leagues.
So that was Andrew Miller with Foul Territory TV. Andrew Miller, player rep for MLB PA, the Players Association. And, I agree with a lot of what he said there. I agree that there is an issue with pay disparity in Major League Baseball. Obviously, there are teams that aren't even trying at all, like the Marlins. The Marlins aren't trying. The A's finally tried for some reason. I'm not sure why they're trying. Well, they kind of had to try because they had to kind of put in that, hey, we're going to try now that we're moving to Las Vegas. But if you look at the Marlins, they're spending, their highest paid player on their team is Sandy Alcantara. Next highest paid player on the team, Jesus Sanchez, for $4.5 million. Now, Sandy Alcantara is going to be making $11.2 million this year. So when you got teams like that, yeah, they're not paying, or they're not trying right now because they're not paying the players. They're not bringing players in. Current payroll allocations are $47.9 million for the Marlins. Projected, so what they probably will have at the end of the year, $64.52 million. That's not acceptable. That is not acceptable. If there's going to be a salary cap, or if they're going to present a salary cap, there has to be something else that these owners give up, because you can't present a salary cap and want that and then spend $42 million. That is brutal. It's brutal. And I think they're going to have to rethink this entire thing for the next CBA, because we've seen the deferrals, and yes, that was legal. And I'm not going to complain about that, because yeah, it's part of the rules. Dodgers took advantage of the rules. Okay, I can live with that, because honestly, every team, like you heard Andrew Miller say, every team could have done this. Side note, I really don't. I hate the all owners could do this argument, because it's not true. I don't think that all teams could bring in a Juan Soto or a Shohei Ohtani. I just don't think it's possible. So I don't really like that argument. But again, I think players are kind of talking out of both sides of their mouth, because for fans, I mean, all we really do is cheer and hope the team wins and buy merchandise and buy tickets and buy food, buy drinks. Players are obviously in a much different place for perspective, from their perspective. This is a shocker. I'm not a professional athlete, but I have worked and talked with a lot of professional athletes over the time I've been in radio, and they all want to win. Trust me. You think some guys don't want to win? Maybe there's some outliers out there, but for the most part, they all want to win. They want to have a legacy. They want to come out on the other side being known as a good player. So that's the goal for them. So I think deep down inside, even though they say, hey, it doesn't bother me that the Dodgers are doing this, it doesn't bother me that they're stacking the Dodgers, even though they say that, I think deep down inside, it's annoying to them that the Dodgers are doing what they're doing, but that's a part that's not actually going to ever make the light of day, because in reality, part of them tells them that they don't see it as a problem, because if it is indeed a problem, then baseball is going to try and fix it. And the solution to fixing it likely involves some sort of salary cap. And that's what players don't want. They don't want the salary cap, and they don't want their money limited, which I understand. I do. I don't know how this is going to go, but I do believe, from talking with Tony and just all the things I've read here in the last year or so, that this is going to be a really tough negotiation, because if the owners really do want a salary cap, players are going to dig in. Players are going to dig in, and they're not going to give up, because they don't want this unless the owners meet them halfway on something, which I don't think the owners are going to do. The owners are just they just want their franchise to make money. I mean, there are some owners that want to win, obviously. But we all know those owners out there in baseball that are just there using it as some sort of cash cow. And some franchises aren't even cash cows. But I do think that there is a point where you have to institute something that's going to keep things in check. Yes, the Dodgers are stacked, and that's fine, because that's what is going to happen. That's the reality of everything. There's nothing we can do to change that. But when you have teams that are paying $450 million in payroll, and then you got the Marlins who are paying $47.9 million in payroll, there is a simple solution to that. And that would be the salary cap floor, or just a salary cap in general. There has to be a floor if a team's not going to spend as much. And the whole CBT thing, collective bargaining tax, I don't even really think the whole CBT thing is a deterrent, because you're going to pay a percentage of how much you're over the CBT, and it compounds each year, or maybe not compounds. I know that's like a finance word, and I don't know if I'm using it correctly, but each year the penalty becomes steeper if you're over the CBT, and the Padres had to reset the CBT last year. But I don't think it's really affecting the teams that are spending the most money. You think that the Dodgers care, and I'm just making up this number because they don't have their actual collective bargaining tax number just yet. That is calculated at the end of the year when the final roster is put in place. So they don't calculate that till the end of the year. But say, I'm just arbitrary number, say $90 million is their tax, because they're way, 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 way over the limit. Are they really sneezing at $90 million when you're pulling in billions? No, you're not. That's just the opportunity cost of doing business as a Major League Baseball team. If they want to make money, they're going to have to spend money. That's how it works. That's how business works. I've heard that for many, 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 many years. Many years that you have to spend money to make money. And that's exactly what the Dodgers are doing. They're not looking back. They're fine with it. If they have to pay that fee, they have to pay that fee. So that's why I don't think the CBT works. For other teams like the Padres, where, they're over the tax, they're already at like over $230 million in payroll. They actually probably can't pay a $90 million tax. Dodgers can. So that's why I don't think that works. I don't think that those things are going to work because you have certain teams that can't afford it. And so it's not a real deterrent. You have to have a deterrent for these things. And in the beginning, teams were afraid to go over and pay the tax. So it was a deterrent for a little bit. But when the Dodgers are making billions of dollars, and now that they're the team of Japan, they do not care about paying that $90 million. And I'm just, again, making up that number just to have a number. Clay says, if there is a pay floor, why isn't there a pay ceiling? At some time, it will become a real factor. Salaries cannot keep going into the ozone without any consideration for the fans. The pay floor, the reason there is no pay ceiling is because baseball is that sport where you can make a lot of money and a ridiculous amount of money, and players are never going to agree to a pay ceiling. And if there is a pay floor, the players will agree to a pay floor, because that means that they're going to have to, teams are going to have to actually spend money on free agency. So you're going to get more money. But I don't necessarily, I agree with Andrew Miller in the way of, hey, the Dodgers have only won 2 World Series in the last 40 years. But I don't agree with them. I don't agree with the players not really seeing the big picture of, hey, we can't want one thing. What is it? You can't have your cake and eat it too. That's what it is. You can't ask for lots of money. And where am I going with this? I'm trying to get a good example, and it's not hitting me in my head right now. But I'll just say, you can't have your cake and eat it too. That's what we're going to go with, because I don't want to confuse anybody else out there. I think everybody understands that cliche. Is it a cliche or a phrase or anything like that? Diesel says if the players don't agree, then find new players. I guess we're going to go to the replacements at that point. I'm looking through some of the chats, and everybody has kind of the same opinion. Like, hey, they need some sort of something, but we don't know what that is. KG says the NFL has shown that the cap works. It makes teams more competitive and doesn't guarantee a perpetual dynasty. I think each sport is different. And I think the way football has been run for so long, it works for them because that's how it works. Like, what if they never had a salary cap back in the day and they were still, to this day, not using a salary cap? That would make things very difficult for certain teams. NFL owners have tons of money, and I know baseball owners do too. But I do think that the players are going to have to give a little to get a little, and the owners are going to have to give a little to get a little as well. Give a little to get a little. It's not gonna be pretty. I expect for major fights to happen between both sides. And I remember the last time we did the CBA, and they actually had to move up part of the season because they ran into that. And I just don't want that to happen again. Wouldn't really want that to happen again. And we're going towards it. And it's going to be sad, because that is what hurts baseball. Because to the random fan who isn't really up to date on baseball daily, when they see a news story of Major League Baseball players go on strike because they're not getting paid enough, then that will make people form the opinion that baseball players are greedy and baseball owners are greedy. So baseball is greedy. We don't want to deal with baseball. It's not a good look for baseball. Not a good look for baseball at all. But we don't have to worry about that till a couple more years. It's going to be a thing, though. We're going to talk about this a lot leading up to it. Eric gave me this stat. Dodgers paid a $103 million in CBT in 2024. That's a big number, and they don't even care because they're making a lot more than that. They really are. All right, when we get back on the Skraby Show, I have the Daily Gripe. I also have those power rankings. That's the highest I've ever seen the Padres in any of these power rankings. There's like 100,000 power rankings going around right now. This one I'm going to choose to tell you about because it ranks the Padres somewhat high. So we'll do that when we get back. Also, Daily Gripe, all of that ahead on the Skraby Show, 97.3 The Fan. segment of the Skraby Show for Tuesday. Tomorrow, final off-season Skraby Show before the regular season begins. If you didn't hear earlier, I'm going to be doing more and more stuff on my YouTube throughout the year because I miss everyone and I miss being able to give my opinions and force people to listen to it. And so I'm going to be doing more on the YouTube because I don't have as full of a schedule going forward. There will be Skraby shows. If it's 6 p.m. and the Padres aren't playing on a weekday, then there's going to be a Skraby show. That's how you can remember it. Are the Padres playing? Is it a weekday? Is it 6 p.m.? Okay, Skraby show time. That's how you can deal with that. But you need to just go and follow me on my YouTube at the Skraby Show. SKRAB as in boy Y at the Skraby Show. Go ahead and follow me there. Also, while you're at it, go follow 97.3 The Fan on YouTube because all shows post to 97.3 The Fan, and you'll get everything that we do on the station on the 97.3 The Fan YouTube. We're really putting some effort into the YouTube this year. So make sure you go and you follow that. Also, if you're watching right now on YouTube, make sure you give it a little thumbs up. I'm trying to grow. I'm trying to do the things you're supposed to do to grow. I'm not necessarily a panderer, but I guess I have to be a panderer in this case. So I'm pandering for some follows and I'm pandering for some attention, which is something that I'm going to do more of. So get used to it, I guess. I'm not very good at it. I'm not going to feel comfortable doing it, but it has to happen. So at the Skraby Show on YouTube, also Twitter at Matt Skraby. All right. I've gotten a lot of messages actually about my bank stories from earlier, and they are all everybody's very interested in my banking life. So maybe I'll tell one more bank story before we get out of here in the Daily Gripe. I wanted to bring up these power rankings though real quick. This is the Bleacher Report power rankings, and I've been looking through all the power rankings. I'm a big power ranking fan. I feel like there are too many power rankings now. Before it was like MLB.com, CBS Sports, maybe Yahoo. Now it's like every single person out there does power rankings. And I guess I shouldn't talk because I did rankings of Padres players on Friday. But I'm used to seeing the Padres anywhere between 11 and 15 in the power rankings. We talked about it yesterday. I think the Padres were at 13 in Matt Snyder's power rankings. But in this one, this is the highest I've ever seen the Padres so far this offseason. It goes Dodgers, Phillies, Diamondbacks, Braves, Mets, Padres. And then it goes Orioles, Yankees, Mariners, Brewers. So Dodgers and Phillies are a really popular one too. The Diamondbacks are really getting a lot of preseason love. The Diamondbacks are getting so many mentions as a team to watch out for. They lost Jordan Montgomery today due to Tommy John surgery. He likely wasn't going to make the rotation, but he was going to be someone that they could use in the bullpen. I'm not necessarily sure that the Diamondbacks are going to be a number 3 team here, maybe 2 months into the season. That would be kind of shocking to me. Yeah, that would be kind of shocking to me. But the Padres at number 6. I love it, but I don't know if I can put them at number 6. Are they better than the Orioles? I'm not sure. On paper. We're talking about on paper. I don't really know. I'm not sure if the Padres are better than the Orioles. Are the Padres better than the Yankees? Not sure about that either. Now, when they face off, I think that the Padres can win. But if we're looking at everything on paper, I don't know. With the Yankees having Luis Hill on the IL for the first 2 months and then Garrett Cole out for the entire season with Tommy John, I don't know that the Yankees, I don't know. Maybe the Padres catch them because of the injuries, but the Yankees are right there too. Mariners, I got to see it first. Mariners, got to see it first before I can rank them number 9. The Brewers, they had a good team last year. They lost some guys, but Christian Yelich is getting older and he's not the same guy he used to be. They have Jackson Chourio. They lost Willie Adames to the Giants. So the Brewers are they've traded away Devin Williams to the Yankees. So I don't know where the Brewers and how they're going to look this year. They do have Sal Frelick. Sal Frelick is pretty good. So Jackson Chourio and Sal Frelick, 2 guys that are, the up and comers for the Brewers. But I'm just not sure. I'm just not sure about the Padres being number 6. I'm happy about it, but I'm not sure. Let's see. I'm looking at some of the comments about these teams, and the Diamondbacks bullpen, back into their bullpen, is awful. I kind of agree with that. The Braves at number 4, I think the Braves are pretty good. They're getting Spencer Strider back. They'll have Chris Sale, Spencer Schwellenbach. They still got, they're getting Ronald Acuna Jr. back. I really don't know that the Braves aren't number 3. So anyway, that's the whole power ranking stuff. And number 6 is the highest I've seen the Padres. And again, I don't know if I could say that they are number 6, but we'll take it. All right. If you want to come and hang out with the shows, and then we're going to talk about Kyle Hart and Randy Vasquez. If you want to come hang out with the shows, Thursday for opening day, join 97.3 The Fan at Baja Rick's at 176th Avenue across from the Hard Rock as we celebrate opening day. This Thursday, Ben and Woods will broadcast beginning at 6 a.m., followed by the Braden Soprano Show until noon. We'll have deals on Coors Light, Blue Moon, Topo Chico, plus a special breakfast menu and $10 footlong TJ dogs and special Blowfish Tequila premium margaritas. Join 97.3 The Fan at Baja Rick's from 6 a.m. to noon this Thursday for opening day. Make sure you go there. Now, Chris and I are not going to be broadcasting. We're not going to be out and about on Thursday. We will broadcast after the game or the post-game show. So when Sam Levitt signs off, then we are going to take over until 7 p.m. But if you want to come hang out with us, you can on Saturday because we're going out. The station is going out and about. Again, join us this Saturday as we broadcast live at Tom's Watch Bar on 8th and J from 10 a.m. to 3:15 p.m. for the East Village Block Party. Ben and Woods start at 10 a.m., followed by the Braden Soprano Show and Gwen and Chris, and it's going to be Chris and I. Check out all the baseball action while enjoying Blue Moon and Coors Light, along with delicious food like Tom's famous prime rib dip sandwich. I've heard very good things about. That's this Saturday at Tom's Watch Bar on 8th and J Street, brought to you by Blue Moon Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly. All right, let's go back to something I probably should have talked to a little bit earlier, but we're here and we're going to talk about it now. But the Padres have figured out their rotation. They filled it out. They have the 4th and 5th guys now. Kyle Hart and Randy Vasquez are going to round out the rotation. Kyle Hart, I haven't really seen much from, but I told you all this last week, and I continue to hear good things about Kyle Hart. And I have to think that the Padres know a lot more than we do, just to name him as a part of the rotation. You know, Matt Waldron is dealing with some stuff. Stephen Kolek, he is in AAA. He got optioned. Connor Joe got optioned. Some other players got optioned, but really the pitching staff is we have it. It's going to be Dylan Cease, let's start with Michael King. He's the opening day starter, and then Dylan Cease, and then Tony was saying that Nick Pivetta is going to probably be the 4th spot in this. And so then they'll get that back on track. But then you either have Kyle Hart or Randy Vasquez game 3. You have Nick Pivetta game 4. And then you have the other of the Kyle Hart and Randy Vasquez for game 5. It was really funny because I went back to look at my notes from previous shows because I remember the day Nick Pivetta signed, it happened during a Skraby show, and I had spent the entire first segment of this show talking about who's going to get the rotation spot, the 5th spot, Matt Waldron or Randy Vasquez. So Matt Waldron's hurt, so he's out. But I was thinking that, Randy Vasquez, not bad. And then so we did that whole segment, talked about it for 12, 15 minutes, and then Nick Pivetta signed, and so that changed everything. But now that Yu Darvish is injured and going to start on the IL, we're back to having a conversation about who should be in the rotation. And Randy Vasquez, I really don't think that let me start that over. I really do think that he is a good choice to be a part of this rotation. I think he has earned it. Now, spring training wasn't great for him, but we're not going to pay attention to spring training, right? It's not going to happen. Last year, 11 out of his 20 appearances, he gave up 2 earned runs or less. And when you look at Randy Vasquez and you see what he did last year, for the most part, he was very good. There were games where he gave up a ton of runs, but what pitcher doesn't? Like, he gave up 9 runs against the Rays on August 31st. But if you look in the month of July, he gave up, let's see. That's not a good example because he gave up 10 earned runs. I'm trying to see. I should have done this before the show. I didn't really know I was going to be talking about Randy Vasquez, but that's not an issue. I should be able to do this. But Randy Vasquez, if you look at some of the stretches that he had, very good. Like in June, these are I'm going to name the number, or I'm going to number the. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm going to say the number of earned runs in each start in June. 3, 3, 1, 6, 0, 1. And then you go into July, 2, 2, 0, 6. So if you're looking at June, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 starts in June out of 6 starts with under 3 earned runs or less. And then you add 3 more to those with the 2, and the 0. What I'm trying to get at here is that Randy Vasquez has put together stretches where he could be really good and he could be an effective major league pitcher. I don't think that Randy Vasquez is not ready for this. I think Randy Vasquez is ready for this. I'm a Randy Vasquez fan. I really am. I'm really curious to see what Kyle Hart can do too, because I haven't seen much from him. I know that Sam really likes what he's seen from Kyle Hart. I know Tony really likes what he's seen from Kyle Hart. So I'm going to trust the smarter people here, and I'm going to like Kyle Hart. But I don't have an issue with Randy Vasquez or Kyle Hart in the rotation to start the year. This is not a permanent solution. So they can probably, or they will, adjust as the season goes along. And hopefully Yu Darvish isn't going to miss too much time. We don't know how much time, but hopefully he's not going to miss too much time. So going into the season, the roster is set. We have no more questions. And we got less than 48 hours until opening day. So lots of fun things happening here in San Diego in the next couple days.
What's annoying Skraby today? Let's find out. It's time for the Daily Gripe.
All right, my Daily Gripe has to do with my dog walks. It's basically dog walking is the only thing I do every single day. Like, I know I go to work, but every day I do a dog walk. And here is my Daily Gripe for today. When people that shouldn't be on trails are on trails. So, for example, walking the dogs on the trail today, and it's a walking trail. It's not a bike trail, it's a walking trail. It says, there's a sign, no bikes. Well, these idiots on their mountain bikes thinking that they're like some sort of hardcore mountain biker going through, and they always do one thing, and I guess it's a nice thing, but they're not supposed to be there to begin with. They ring their stupid little bell. Bring, bring, coming through. And I look behind, I'm like, there's not enough room for a bike. There's not enough room for a bike, me, and dogs. So stop. This is the Daily Gripe. Stop using trails that aren't made for you. As Jacob says, I'm walking here. The bring, bring, bring really bothers me. And years ago, before I was more level-headed, someone did that. And I said, get off the trail! Because I'm a psycho. Not like that anymore. But I cannot stand it. And then I have to move the dogs over into the side where there's a bunch of bushes so this stupid bike can get through. It's not even a good biking area. I don't know why people do this. Dominic, Bike Riders, a supremely entitled group. I'm not going to lump everyone in, but the bike riders I saw this morning, supremely entitled. Bring, bring, bring. Excuse me. Ah! That's me every time. All right. Have a good night, everyone. Talk to you tomorrow.